Hey guys, Jason here. It's no surprise that these phones I have with me right now are two of the greatest smartphones released this year. LG's G4 and Google's Nexus 6P made by Huawei. To be honest, I've loved my time with both of these phones and here's what I think. When it comes to the footprints, there's no denying that the 6P is a very big phone. It's slightly taller and also wider than the G4. I have big hands and can easily use a 6P one-handed, but honestly if you can't deal with big smartphones, I don't think the 6P is the phone to choose. I do like the 6P because of the build. Made of aluminum means the phone is always cooler to the touch and feels more expensive. The G4 doesn't feel cheap, but leather and plastic options are less substantial than metal, even though they are more resistant to dings and scuffs when dropped. But I think you'll be likely getting a case for either one of these phones. I prefer the G4 in terms of design because of its curves. I love curves, and to me the 6P looks plain compared to the G4, not only having a curved screen but a curved back as well, even though it's more likely to rock on the table. As for the speakers, I think there is no need for any competition. The 6P's dual-firing front-facing speakers are way better than the G4's rear-firing mono speakers. Seriously, there's no competition here. The G4s are loud, but the 6P's are louder, way louder, and front-facing. When it comes to the display, the G4 has a 5.5-inch Quad HD Quantum LCD display from LG and it looks incredible. Colors are great and also close to accurate. Whites are great and blacks are very deep. The 6P has a 5.7-inch Quad HD AMOLED display which looks stunning with great colors even though more saturated than LCDs, warmer whites than LG's and the best blacks again because it's an AMOLED display. Any black part of an AMOLED display means the screen is actually off as opposed to an LCD display which displays black colors instead. This saves more battery when using black apps and wallpapers. Also, the 6P has a brighter display than the LG G4. At 20% brightness on my 6P, I can get the equivalent of almost 50% brightness on the G4. Out of the box though, the whites on the G4 are what I prefer as the 6P's whites are really warm. I use the custom kernel to tweak the whites on my 6P, but I doubt any of you will be doing that. But I prefer AMOLED displays like the one on the 6P. The brighter screen, deeper blacks and more vivid colors are truly a dream to use. When it comes to software, here's where everything starts to crumble for LG. Sure, it has more features, many of which are useful like multi-window and call blocking and more. When I first got the G4, I didn't regret getting a device having the Snapdragon 808 over the Snapdragon 810, especially because it was fast and fluid and also it didn't have the heat issues I heard of on the 810. After installing all my apps and using it for a long while, I was reminded why I see some negative things with Android skins, especially those that heavily customize Android. It's now slow, lags, skips animations here and there, and overall the experience is not that pleasant anymore. Not just that, but because I didn't get a global variant of the G4 due to my location in China, I'm not going to be getting updates and I'm going to be waiting for Marshmallow for a really long while. The icons on the status bar and nav bar are really too big. I don't know why LG decided to make these icons so big. They are huge. Too huge for my liking. On the 6P, you get Android as it was meant to be. Sure, it has less features, but I don't find my phone the same mess as it was with the G4. And like I said in my review, it's just like butter melting in a ceramic pot. Also because its metal is usually cooler to the touch. It looks way better and more polished than what LG is doing or trying to do. And not just that, you'll get all Android updates as soon as they are released. All security patches, you're not going to have vulnerabilities and things like that. Everything is going to be fixed timely and quick by Google. This is a more streamlined and consistent experience and has a lot of polish to it compared to what LG is doing. When it comes to battery life, the G4 is good but the 6P is amazing. Using this normally like browsing, going through social media feeds, checking emails and such, the G4 could last me for a full day with about 15 hours of use. I left from having 4.5 to 5 hours screen on time from the beginning to 3.5 to 4 hours screen on time right now. Standby time too became a little finicky, sometimes losing only 2% at night and then after losing 10% overnight, even with no rogue apps running. On the 6P I get through the day without any problems with the same amount of use. Also the inconsistencies I had with the G4 aren't present here. At night every day I lose a maximum of just 2% due to those. Honestly there's not much in this category. The 6P can even act as a power bank to the G4 or any other phone of your choice. I'd like to finish this comparison with the cameras. For still shots there's very little to separate here. The G4 has higher resolution pictures due to its 16 megapixels f1.8 1.2 micrometers pixel size OIS camera, but it's not far higher res from the 6P's 12.3 megapixel f2.0 1.55 micrometer pixel size. Both of these take amazing photos. What the G4 gets the edge is in some conditions where the white balance is a little bit better than the 6P to my eyes. There is more noise in the G4's photos due to the higher megapixel count and the smaller pixel size. The G4 also over-sharpens the images, especially more in HDR mode. The 6P's images have less noise compared to the G4's. Taking a picture is much easier on the 6P than the G4. The shutter speed is faster and more consistent. To achieve the best results on the G4, you will need manual mode. In low light handheld automatic mode, the 6P edges the G4 with less noisy images and also less overexposure of bright lights in the background. The G4 tries too much to brighten up the scene and ends up with an overexposed and noisy image. But if you happen to walk around with a tripod, usually you have better results on the G4, especially with manual mode. Couple the f1.8 aperture on the G4 and the manual settings with a tripod and you get amazing pictures at night. In video though, the G4 takes the cake with stabilization, even though not by much, because the stabilization sometimes is robotic, both in 1080p and 4K. And slow motion overall is better on the 6P. Anyways guys, that was it, the Battle of the Titans. If you liked the video and appreciate my work, please do subscribe and like the video. This helps me grow and reach out to more of you guys. Stay safe and see you in the next one.